Hello and welcome to the 2010 Villagers Podcast, episode 16. Joining me as always, I've got Jack Salt and Ash Walker. And after today's events and the quite brilliant game last night, we have a lot to talk about this evening, and should be a good show, hopefully.
Can I just
and-
stop you there?
Yes.
You said that I'm here and Jack is here. Jack isn't here. Jack is somewhere else. His mind is somewhere else today. He's not very happy, is he, Sam?
No, which we're going to find out quite soon.
I'm here. I'm quite happy being here. I'm just chilled out.
Yeah. Also, as we will come to in a moment, this could be our last show for a while, so we will have to make it an entertaining one. So there's only one place we can start, and it's not with the game last night. It's actually with the news that's come out today that the Northern Counties East League has been suspended until at least January the 13th, which is the next tier review, because I believe 3 of the 40 teams across the two divisions, 5 of the 40 teams across the two divisions, including Skegness and Retford in our division, have been placed into Tier 4 today. So obviously a large part of the country is now in Tier 4, but the vast majority of Yorkshire is still in Tier 3, and Northern and Northeast Lincolnshire, the likes of Brigg, Winterton, etc. But because these few teams have been placed into Tier 4, the decision has been made that the league will be suspended. Now, this has caused a lot of controversy already. All you have to look at the replies to the Northern Counties tweet about this. There's some anger about how it's been announced, if and when clubs were consulted about it. So I think we'll let Jack kickstart us on this one, and there's all sorts we can discuss on this. So obviously Ferriby's trips to Brigg and Hall Road that we were looking forward to in the next few days are obviously now off, and we wait to see what happens with the FA Vase game against West Auckland, with West Auckland also being in Tier 4. So anyway, I'm going to hand over to Mr. Salt, who has been waiting eagerly for this moment.
Get your popcorn out.
Yeah, I'm not happy, to say the least. This decision is not a good one. I've seen people say that this is fair. No, it's not. It's not fair to the teams in Tier 3 that could get their games played, like us. There's no reason why we couldn't have gone to Brigg on Saturday, gone to Hall Road on Tuesday, or even welcome Campion here. Gone to Parkgate the Saturday after, or obviously we've got West Auckland, hopefully. No reason why we couldn't have had those games safely. The government have allowed us to have 150 fans in Tier 3, so the government must see something there that's that's safe. But obviously the league don't see it that way. I'm not happy, to say the least. We were just getting back into the swing of it, and obviously we've had it taken away now. I think now points per game is extremely likely, even though one team, Selby, has only played 6 games so far this season, which is an outrage in itself. And yeah, just the way that it's all been handled and the way that it's been put out without consulting clubs or anything like that. I mean, obviously, me doing the social media, it's not right that I have to tell the chairman and the secretary that the league's been suspended. So yeah, but it is what it is. There's nothing we're going to be able to say that's going to change it. I obviously, the views of myself, not of the club, think it's a ridiculous decision. Just let us get on with it, basically. While we're still in Tier 3, at the end of the day, we're going to get moved up to Tier 4 at some point in the near future, anyway. So we had 3-4 games that we could have played before the next review. Just let us get them played. It's not hard. At the end of the day, teams have already got games to catch up on anyway. I mean, to be fair, we look at Retford. Retford have played 3 more games than us anyway. all right, Skeggy have played 2 less than us, but I just don't think it's fair, and I think the way it's been handled has been particularly poor. And there's just one tweet I want to say here, which really epitomises how I personally am feeling. It's from the chairman of one of the other Northern Counties League clubs, Maltby Main's chairman, who said, "What I don't understand is this. We are told that relegation and promotion is a priority this season. Therefore, surely the more games that are played, whilst it is still possible, is aiming towards the above being achieved. The more games played, the more reliable a PPG." And I don't think I could have put that better myself. I understand the situation that the league and Matt and everybody's in. I get it. It's such unprecedented times, and it's times that none of us were expecting and none of us were wanting, let's face it. But this needed to be handled better. There needed to be better consultation. And I just think that when games can be played, they need to be played. I mean, you look at Saturday in particular. There were two teams in our league in Tier 4 who were playing each other on Saturday. Why can't the rest of us get our games played and just call that game off? Even if it was just Saturday, even if you call it off from Hall Road, but that's one more extra game that we could have got in, that we would have got in. I mean, I know Brig have got a great setup down there. Their pitch would have been fine. The game would have been on. Obviously, touch wood, neither side have had troubles with COVID yet, so the game would have quite clearly been on. And now being told that the league are going against the government advice, it doesn't sit well with me, to be particularly honest. I don't know your opinions on it, but yeah, that's my thoughts.
That was very, very thorough, as I would have expected, Jack. There's a few things. I agree largely with a lot of what you said, especially this weekend. I didn't actually personally know that until you two have just told me that before we came on here. And to be honest, that's ridiculous, because if you could have got one more round of games in, every game that's played legitimizes points per game more, right? And okay, that game would have had to been called off, but the thing is now with this, that they're saying it's suspended until January 13th for the tier review. Well, I'll tell you one thing that'll happen at the tier review. We'll go up to tier 4 and that'll be it, right? Which means that it's looking more and more likely that this season is going to get cut very, very short. Now, the problem then becomes, do you null and void it? Do you go points per game? So if you could have got more games in, if all these other teams could have got 3 or 4 more league games in before January the 13th, it's still not great, but it gives slightly more precedence, I would say, to points per game than what it will do now with how the league table currently sits. I do think it's difficult but you couldn't continue the full season if we stayed in Tier 3 for the next, 3 months, and Retford and Skegness were in Tier 4 and come back in March and say, oh, there you go, you've got to play every day of the week, you two teams, to catch
100%,
up.
100%.
That just wouldn't have been feasible. But, and also, on your point about the announcement, I didn't expect a statement from the league today. I thought they would have needed at least 24 hours to speak to everybody and to come to a coherent democratic decision across the 40 teams of the 2 divisions. I was not expecting a tweet from the Northern Counties East League less than 2 hours after Matt Hancock's announcement today. So there is definitely a lot to be scrutinised with this.
Let's face it, mate. If there was consultation between all of the 40 clubs, we wouldn't be sat here having this conversation right now, and at the end of the show, we'd be previewing Brig. So,
yeah,
right. I'm going to have my say now, and the number is 6, and 6 being the number is the reason we are no longer playing games. Staveley have only played 6 games in the Northern Counties Premier Division. After 3 weeks' time, Yorkshire Amateur will probably be on 14. Barton 14, Eccleshill 14, Gould 14, Thackley 14, and 8 games at Staveley. I think it's a logical decision for 3 weeks because we don't know what's going to be happening in 3 weeks. Okay, for 3 weeks, we've got to just think about it logically, get all the teams together and say, listen, we can't continue with everybody not playing. If we were in Tier 4 as a region and everyone else was playing, we would be saying it's not fair that everyone else can play, but we can't. And we would not be sitting here saying this is fair. We would not be sitting there saying that. I think it's the right decision. Smurfwaite summed up correctly, saying that he agrees with it. When Pete Smurfwaite agrees, you should all agree.
Right.
I just think it's logic. I just think it's logical. I just think it is. I think if the shoe was on the other foot, we would not want games to be carrying on with us not playing.
I think I kind of agree with you, Walker, but I agree with Sam's point in that, yes, you can't expect this to go on for the full season. Like, you can't, like Sam said, you can't come back to them in March and say, right, here's your 15 games you've got to catch up, play Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. What I don't understand is they're looking at this as a long term and they're not looking at it in the short term. At the end of the day, this country is kind of living day by day at the minute, and I think that's the way that football's got to work out as well. Even if we'd have just managed that at a 3-week period, right? You look at who people are playing. So this Saturday, perfect example. Retford playing Skegness, right? Call that game off. The rest of the league carry on just for the 1 week. Then you look at next week. I don't know who Retford and Skegness were playing next week, but you look at it, and if they're at home, or whether they're away as well, it's weird. They can't play at all, can they? But I just think it needed to be handled better, and it needs to be looked at more in the short term than in the long term.
Another reason.
You need to get game played.
There's another reason for it. It's not fair for those clubs that can get games on and can get fans in. Gives them a financial advantage over those Tier 4 clubs for the next 3 weeks. I just think on the balance of things, the league's probably made the right decision.
Does it give them a financial advantage? Because, as we've said before, are you making any money on the crowd you're allowed in, right? And if you play games, you have to pay players. If you're not playing, you're not paying anyone, and you're not paying referees. So, is it a financial advantage?
Some clubs would probably benefit financially from it. I just think it's the right call to make. I'm not saying the league's gone about it the right way. What you've said, Jack, is pretty worrying. But I think we've just got to play it week by week and see what happens. That's all.
Yeah, that's the point, Walker. But so what the league should have done is that they should have looked at this week and said, right, they're playing each other on Saturday. Carry on. Just for the week.
Staveley were meant to play Penistone, and Pennistone's in Tier 3.
Yeah, but the thing is, Walker, I know it's the Northern Counties League as a whole, but why don't they see it as 2 separate divisions as what they are?
Because why would you play the Division 1 but not the Prem? It's one big umbrella.
Yeah, but it doesn't make sense.
It does just seem a bit farcical because the whole of the rest of our division could have legitimately played on Saturday.
Exactly.
But then if you look in the Premier League, you've got 3 teams in the Premier League that are in Tier 4. There's going to be 4 teams that aren't playing there because one team's going to miss out. Maltby Main, Handsworth were meant to play Maltby Main. Staveley, we found out, were at home to Penistone. And then Mansfield were playing, let me just check. Mansfield were meant to play Thackley. So you've got 3 teams. It doesn't work out. If you had 4 teams, you could maybe do it for another week. You just you make Mansfield and Staveley not play the teams they were playing play each other.
But what's the problem? But what's the problem with getting a week ahead? Surely being ahead is better than being behind.
I just think on the balance of things, you've got to be fair to everybody. And I think the league's look. I'm not saying everything the league's done is right, but I think I can see where the league are coming from, and the league are looking after everybody, not just not.
I see where they're coming from. I see where they're coming from, and I see where the decision has come from. but I just don't think that the decision has been made properly. I think it's been a rushed decision, and they've seen how much COVID is rising, and I guarantee it is rising, and it's getting worrying. But I don't think that they've sat down at it properly. If they have, fair play. But in the time that Matt Hancock announced that, and the time that the Counties League tweeted that statement out, I do not think that has been sat down, thoroughly talked through, and said, right, yeah, we're happy with this decision, we're going with it.
They'll have talked about it all week. They'll have been talking about it all week.
They'll have talked about it, but if they'd have really thought about it, they'd have had a look at this weekend.
Okay, let's imagine East Hull. We know East Hull don't really have a home. Okay, let's imagine East Hull had moved to play at Gainsborough's ground. So that means they could no longer play. Does that change your mind that much? That means it'd be 3 teams from each league.
No, because
I just think where I agree with Jack is just, and I know, like you said about the 2 divisions and all brackets under Northern Counties. I just think our division could have got one more game in this week with those 2 teams playing each other. I just think I don't understand why they couldn't have had that game.
It wouldn't be fair on Skegness. It would be fair on Retford.
That is actually what has griped me more than the season being postponed. But the thing is,
if Skegness had played 10, 11 games, maybe. But Skegness has only played 8.
Right, as well, something you've got to think about here, and something that we've already mentioned. So they're stopping us playing games now when we could get games played. By the time the 13th of January comes, I'm willing to say, and I'm willing to bet, that more than half of the teams in the Northern Counties League, the whole thing, will be in Tier 4, including ourselves. So why pass up on that opportunity to get games played now when you can get them in safely, legally, than having to catch up on them for the sake of 3 weeks? I just don't think it makes sense. I see where they're coming from, and I understand that they have a tough decision to make. And I do genuinely feel sorry for Matt Jones with the amount of pressure he has to deal with. But you've got to also look at it logistically. We're so far behind as well. We've got November's games to catch up.
We've got 9 games already before this.
9 games to catch up on, right? Now, if you take January's games out, we're going to have something like 11 games to catch up on. Because let's face it, on the 13th, we're not going to be able to be allowed to play football, Walker. It's as simple as that. So we could have reduced that by 3 or 4 games.
We've seen already this season where there's been a full round of fixtures, but the odd game has been called off as a COVID precaution. I don't particularly understand how this is any different.
It's not. In that case, right? If they're saying it is not safe for you to play now, cancel the season. It's pointless.
Well, this is what I was going to come on to. This is what I was going to come on to. To be able to, sorry, Sam, because we're not going to be able to be in a position where we can carry on for a full season. So the bigger question then becomes, right? Was Wesborough Bridge the last league game we will see North Ferriby FC play this season? And I don't think that is a ridiculous question to ask now with what's gone on.
I'd say yes.
I with the way things are at the moment, I would say quite possibly yes, because if anyone thinks that, okay, the Oxford vaccine's been approved and all that, anyone thinks we're getting out of Tier 4, because we will go into Tier 4, and places like Skegness are going to get out of Tier 4 by mid-February, the end of winter. You know, I think that's cloud cuckoo land. I think we're in this for the long haul now until mass vaccination. So, therefore, realistically, that was probably, I think, my opinion, I don't know what you two think, I think we've seen Ferriby play their last league game this season now.
Yeah, I agree.
Boris said it'd be April. Boris said most places won't be able to Tier 4 till April.
And then this is where your argument comes in, because clubs were consulted just about the start of the season, I believe it was, saying, "Do you want PPG? Do you want to null and void the season?" And nearly and unanimously, the vote was PPG. However, I do not believe that you can do PPG when a team in your division has played 6 games. Can't happen. But if they'd have left this for another couple of weeks, Selby would have been able to have played 9-10 games. That is a much better position to be able to give PPG than when they've played 6 games. Do you see where I'm coming from there?
No, because it was meant to play Skegness and Retford in that period.
Well, obviously that doesn't help, does it?
I'm joking. No way. I just wait to see a reaction. And no way. They'd have played Eastall and to be fair, they'd have played Winterton and Glasshoughton, so they would have been able to play those games.
Yeah.
To be fair, that does raise an interesting point, because now, say they do go PPG, Selby would get relegated, right? Now, for a club like Selby, that's an absolute disaster.
Having played 6 games.
So then the argument will be, well, the only fair way to do it is to null and void again. But then you've literally lost 2 years of football.
Yeah. And then you're going against what the member clubs have
exactly.
said.
So the member clubs have said this. Now, was there any criteria in that decision? I.e., would you go points per game if we've played X games? Or was it just,
I've no idea.
Do you want PPG or do you want null and void?
I've heard some leagues have said it's 10 games. Everyone has to have played 10 games for it to go to points per game.
So then it'll be null and void.
Exactly.
Then.
And if they'd have carried it on for another couple of weeks, Walker, if they'd have carried it on again for another couple of weeks, get them games played.
Yeah, but Skeggy have only played 8, though.
Yes, Selby would only be on 8 themselves.
I just don't think it makes sense. I really don't.
It's now a very, very difficult situation, and to be honest, I think, as heartbreaking as it would be, I think it could be another year of lost football, to be honest, because you can't do it to a club. You can't make decisions for the likes of Staveley in the league above and Selby in our division, who've played 6 games this season, and there's teams that have played 7, 8. I mean, we've only just scraped the 10 because we got the Wesborough game in.
Yeah.
So, all right, you've got Retford on 13, Rossington have played 12, Nostell have played 12, Glasshoughton 12, but the majority, Wesborough 13. They can't have any complaints of being relegated on points per game of 6 points from 13, but Selby on 3 points from 6.
Sorry, I've just read something. It is 3 teams in our division. Dronfield are in Tier 4 as well.
Well, that's weird. It must be a near thing then. If Dronfield are in Tier 4, Hallam are in Tier 3.
Yeah, Dronfield is part of the Derbyshire FA. It's supposedly part of Derbyshire because it's Chesterfield way.
Ah, right, okay.
So they're supposedly counting that as Derbyshire. I still don't think the point changes, but yeah, it's one of them things where we've just got to learn to deal with it. We will deal with it eventually. Let's just pray that we can get the FFRs on. But who knows?
So, just to wrap up on this, what do you two personally think in terms of the bigger picture and the whole season? Will we get playing again, or will it be points per game, or will it be null and void?
You go first.
I don't think you can do points per game for a team that's played 6 matches. So I think it'll end up getting null and voided, which would be disastrous for the league. I mean, there's supposedly this new league that was meant to be coming in last year. Well, it was supposed to be starting this year, wasn't it? So obviously the four promotion places are still there. But yeah, you cannot do points per game for a team that have played 6 matches. And I'll tell you what, if Selby went to the league and said that point, I wouldn't complain at him, because it's completely not fair. And to see a side like Selby go down after playing 6 games is outrageous. So I think it will get null and void.
It's a tricky one. The way I'm looking at it now, it probably does get null and voided. the league get creative and make Selby play 4 games in April, make Skegness play 2 games in April, make Winterton play a game in April, to get everybody up to 10 and go from there? Or do we try and get everybody playing a certain amount of games, so get everyone to play 15 games maybe, and go from there?
Have a month at the end when the restrictions hopefully ease with all the vaccines, you mean, and have a crazy month where you play 5, 6, whatever games and get everyone to 15.
You can't do that for player welfare. You can't
Selby
do
would have
that
to play
for
9.
players.
Selby would have to play 9 in a month. But then
You can't do that. It's impossible.
you've got to ask, why have Selby only played 6? And it's not because they've had a good cup run.
No,
Why have Selby only played 6?
COVID's been a couple of them.
COVID, and then obviously they would have had 7, but they had an
they would have
abandonment
had
last
7.
week for floodlight failure.
Okay, let's say by the middle of March, they start to ease it to tier 3 again. Do you have a month and a half of teams playing to 15 games?
Nine games in a month and a half isn't great, but it's doable. It's Saturday, Tuesday for a month and a half. But I think Ferriby did Saturday, Tuesday for 6, 7 weeks.
Yeah, they did it Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday in this league a couple of years ago. So it's not ideal, but it's the best way to get it done.
It's a creative idea. Yeah.
However, Walker, this would have been made easier if we could have had the 2-3 games played the next couple of weeks. You'd have only had 2 lagging.
Skegness, though, would it?
Yeah, exactly. You'd have only had 2 lagging behind instead of nearly the rest of the league.
Well,
I think it's doable in a month and a half to get everyone to 15. But then Retford are only playing 2 games.
Exactly.
And so Westbrook.
Exactly.
That's where you're at.
It doesn't make sense.
I think we've covered all the ground there. There was a lot to debate. I guess it's just a waiting game, people. It's everything's crap at the moment, life, but it's just one of them things we've got to wait and see. So this could end up being, really hope it's not, but this could end up being your final scores roundup of the year, Jeff.
Well, at least there's fireworks in this one.
Yeah.
This is from Boxing Day, and we'll just wait on Boxing Day. So Amthorpe 1, Rossington 1, Brig 1, Skegness 3, Glasshoughton 3, Nostell 1. Top 10 Nostell, that team that we're going to finish in the top 10, so doing really well there. Selby abandoned against Harrogate for floodlight failure. We just touched on that. Winston 5, East Hull 0. I'm going to just address something on that in a minute. Monday, Retford 5, Wesborough 0. And then last night, Emily and Campion was postponed for, I believe it was snow, wasn't it, Salt, you said?
Oh,
yeah. Talking of Salt, and I'm sure Sam agrees with me, and I'm sure every single Ferriby fan agrees with me right now, that we're very privileged to have somebody as professional as Salt. And I hope that he's had a message from the social media person at Winterton asking him for advice, because the behaviour from the Winterton social media man or woman or child, I think it's a child, was disgusting on Saturday. Now, I haven't been able to get the tweet up. I have screenshotted it. Let me try and read it. It's on my phone, so you have to bear with me. I was embarrassed by this, to say this was a team in our league doing this. No changes for East Hull, although we've a spare massive photocopier in the office. Are you there?
Yeah, keep going.
Oh, it just disappeared. Right, I'm back. Yeah, so no changes for East Hull, although we've a spare massive photocopier in the office that they are welcome to. It'll probably do a better job up front for them than their current strikers. Now, okay, that tweet was probably meant with no intent of malice. But, big but, it's so unprofessional and insulting. Can you hear me, boys?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just frozen. Right. I just do not understand how a football club can say that about somebody else in their own division. East Hull have gone through a very, very tricky period and have struggled to get a team together. Fair play to them for getting 11 players together on such short notice. I believe it was 5 days they got a squad together. That should have been pointed out by Winterton, but it wasn't. And it was a very poor excuse of an apology afterwards to say it was an inside joke or something like that. Don't tweet inside jokes, do you, Sol, on the Twitter account? He's going to land you in trouble. Now, I'm not going to sit here and berate the person because they're probably just doing a job. But I would expect them to be going to people and saying, how do I do a better job? Because they have not done a good job. And it's just very tin pot. And I've used a T word.
Well, I must say that I agree, Ash. I agree with your point at the top of this that we are very privileged to have someone like Jack doing the job that he does. Although I have to say, you as well, the last few games on the Facebook on our account, I have to point this out at this point and say that has been fantastic as well. You both did a brilliant job last night. And I agree.
With the score.
Yeah. I think what's made this worse is, as you've just explained, the very recent situation at East Hull and the fact that they've gone through a hell of a lot in a short period of time, and they've done very well to still be going. They've had to move grounds. They've obviously had all the fallout of Waltham going, and then they've had to completely change their squad, the manager. Key personnel behind the scenes like Kev Rev and things like that who make that club tick have moved on. So to even have got that game on Boxing Day, it's a privilege for Winterton that they could play that game against East Hull. And let's face it, it's good for Winterton that they get to face East Hull, who've been put together at the 11th hour. They were always going to win that game, and they were always going to win it easily. So you don't need to be rubbing it in like that. And like you say, Ash, whether it's an inside joke or not, you don't put things like that on official club Twitter accounts. And it did not sit well. And the barrage of replies that they got from everyone across the league, and we haven't always said nice things about East Hull in the past. A lot of that directed at the previous owner. But Jack wouldn't have tweeted something like that. And a lot of the other admins across this league, the famous Hallamad win, who we talk about quite a lot on this show, wouldn't have tweeted something like that.
Ollie at Hall Road.
Ollie at Hall Road, exactly. It was just in bad taste and did not come across well at all.
You know what? I was going to say one thing. It's all right digging at other clubs. Okay, I'm just looking at the attendances from Boxing Day. I need to get onto it first. Oh, crap, where are we going? But my point here, okay, in our division, 150 at Amthorpe, 150 at Brig. Winterton, 135. Get your own house in order. Besides everybody else, third in division, you might think you're good, but you're in our shadow. You may have beaten us. We're a bigger club than you are. East Hull have got more support from the rest of the division than you have. The rest of the division would rather East Hull do well than Winterton. Would you agree after that?
Well, I'll just have my say on this. And I'm going to say something that I never thought I was going to say in my life. But I actually have respect for East Hull. What they've gone through with a horrible, horrible owner to now being in sort of better times. It's a shame for them that the stalwarts like Kev Rev, Watsy have all now gone. And they're now starting to turn over a new leaf. And I think that's fair play to them to, like you both said, to get a squad together in 5 days. And and I mean this absolutely nicely, to only get beat 5-0, I think is a great achievement, because Winston are a side who are flying and who have been dispatching teams by that score no matter what. So, massive fair play to Eastall. Like I said to you, I never thought I would say that in my life. But yeah, what the Winston admin said wasn't nice. It was disrespectful, but it's one of them things, isn't it? I mean,
what do you think would have happened to you, Salt, if you said that on our Twitter account?
Oh, I'd have got barraged for it.
What would Les have said to you?
Well, he wouldn't have been happy, would he? Wouldn't have been happy.
No,
I don't think we can air on here what he would have said to Jack.
Les wouldn't have been happy. But I mean, inside jokes are inside jokes for a reason. They're jokes you have with your mates, with people in the club. I mean, we all have inside jokes with everybody in the club. I mean, you just got to look at us all and think, yeah, what a tight-knit group.
To tweet about a photocopy, I just think it's a little bit petty. Of all things, a photocopier, who cares? Seriously, who cares?
Yeah, I mean, we all get giddy at football, and I'm not going to say I sympathise, because I don't sympathise. But
well, I'd rather get giddy about winning an important FA Vase game or an important league game than a bog standard league game. If you're going to get excited in a bog standard league game, probably shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's one of those, isn't it? It's said and done. You just move on from it. And
I hope he's learned from it.
Yeah, exactly. I can guarantee you, it'll be a young person like me learning all the time, and it's just something that they've gone a bit too far with. I mean, yes, it came over disrespectful, and like you said at the start of what you were saying, Walker, I can absolutely guarantee you we won't have intended it to be disrespectful, but he'll have learned from that. He'll carry on, and he'll carry on doing a decent job. He needs to sort his goal gifts out.
I mean, come on, those gifts.
Yeah, but fair play to them. Doing social media is not an easy thing. Having to do graphics, etc. So I kind of have a bit of respect for him, but you just don't say things like that. These things don't come out in the public domain, and you learn from it and you move on, and you just carry on.
Just to finish on that, like you say, it's one of those things, you know, you'd like to think it won't happen again. Everyone makes mistakes, etc. And also I would just like to again say, you know, fair play to Eastall, and well done for staying afloat. And as big as that sounds, you know, that really has been what it has been the last few months for them, in amongst COVID.
They'll be glad they haven't got a game now for 2 weeks.
Yeah, it gives them a bit of time, doesn't it, to get a bit more sorted out. The last thing, I've
interject just one thing talking about the league ending for 2 weeks. Do we play friendlies, do you reckon?
Well, we're allowed. So
we're allowed, yeah.
We're allowed.
Play
so
friendlies against teams in our league.
We can play friendlies against anyone we like. Anybody that's in Tier 3 that's allowed to play football.
Yeah, so we could play friendlies against Premier Division sides if we wanted to. It's interesting. Yeah, well, obviously, I think a lot of it will come down to whether the Vase game goes ahead or not as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Just quickly, did have Nunsthorpe played recently or not? No. Okay. Right. We seem to have been going a hell of a long time already tonight, but we did say we had a lot to talk about.
About Nunsthorpe, something happened last night, didn't it?
Were you waiting till the end, Sam?
Well, I wasn't sure whether to mention it, but we'll mention it. We've mentioned now that obviously Danny Buttle has recently taken up a job in the police, and he spoke to us after the game last night after the game, and he said I was thinking of you three lads the other day. I was like, oh, why? And he said, because I was part of the team that arrested someone outside Nunsthorpe Tavern.
We were cruising.
Which we just thought was absolutely brilliant. He was like, oh, yeah, I thought of you three. I was like, oh, God. So,
Well,
yeah.
there goes our invite. Party at Nunsthorpe Tavern.
I know.
I've never actually looked at Google Maps. I'm going to have a look on Google Maps while you're talking.
But, yeah, so not only Danny Buttle, supreme penalty taker, he's now a member of the police force, and has been getting to know Nunsthorpe. Anyway, we'll move swiftly on. We can. Anyway, yeah, it feels like we've been going a while already, but we're going to move on to some good news now. And we've got to discuss an absolute epic night at the Dransfield last night. Now, anyone who knows us three knows that, you know, nights at the Dransfield, you can't beat them anyway. But when the nights like this, when it's an FA Vase tie against a Northern League side, you're 2-0 down at half-time. You know, we're decimated. We've got 4 subs on the bench. And we come back and we get it to 2 apiece. And then we win our second penalty shootout of this FA Vase run this season. That tells half the story of how epic last night was. It was amazing. It really, really was. It was one of those nights that live long, long in the memory. And we've had plenty of them down the 10 years, but this was special because, as I said, we went 2-0 down in the first half, and we were thinking, oh, this is it. This, you know, fair play, you know, Seaham, the Northern League side, built for the FA Vase, you know, and this might just have been one step too far, but not for this team. Not for this team, because the second half, absolutely superb to a man. They were fantastic. And then you get it to the lottery of penalties, and, you know, we win 7-6, scored 7 out of the 8. Danny Buttle hit the post with the first one, but we'll forgive him for that, seeing as he scored the penalty during normal time. And Jordan Douglas is the hero again, and we progress. Well, we hope we progress. We hope the Vase continues to face West Auckland. That sort of sets the scene. We're going to delve more into it, but your thoughts, lads, on last night, the emotions of it, and I mean, I still haven't properly calmed down from that, I don't think.
Go on, Ash. I've spoken more.
It was average, wasn't it?
That's my kind of response.
I'm joking. What a night. What a night. I think at half time was all looking at each other thinking, oh dear. Some of us a bit more thinking that inside, others trying to start a fight with Seaham committee members. Not me or Sam. I'm going to let you guess which one that leaves. But yeah, it was one of them. There seems to be a magical feel about the way this FA Vase is going, this FA Vase run, and it continued again last night. And you cannot fault any of the players on that pitch for their effort in the second half. They came out, they battled, and that's all you can ask from your team. And I'm still in amazement, and I'm just so proud. I tweeted how proud I was to be a Ferriby fan last night, and I still am. Fantastic stuff.
I mean, I'll be honest. I thought the first half last night was one of the worst halves of football we played this season. Was it worse than what?
Went away second half.
There've been a couple of bad halves, but yeah, I mean the spirit that this side has is special. I don't think there's any side in non-league football that has the spirit that this side has, and the spirit between the players, the staff, and the fans. The club's going places massively. But as for the actual game, I thought second half was just outrageous. I couldn't believe what I was watching, to be honest. After how poor the first half was, to the comparison of how good the second half was, it was just unbelievable. I think Seaham played into our hands second half, sitting back, because it meant we had to attack more. And when we get in the groove of attacking, where nobody's going to beat us, and I think we all knew as soon as we got that first goal, we thought, yeah, we're getting something from this, and obviously we did. But I mean, throughout the game, I thought, especially towards the end of the first half and all of the second half, I thought we were dominant. I thought we had the majority of the ball. We worked it well. I thought Ewan Healy's second half was fantastic. Worked us really well in the middle. And yeah, we just had a bit too much pace for him in the end down the sides, and we just took a couple of chances. We rode our luck a little bit. We were unlucky with a couple of decisions. Tiller's offside goal, and obviously I haven't seen the penalty properly yet for Seaham, but I believe it's soft. But yeah, overall, what a night! It's an absolute classic down at the Dransfield again, and obviously Dougie, the penalty king, he doesn't miss.
Oh, he really is the penalty king. I mean, you know, we with us going first when it got to sudden death, obviously every time we scored, it piles the pressure on Seaham, and you know, Jordan Douglas, you just always have the feeling he's going to save one. He is a good keeper in those situations. But yeah, the character and the resilience of that team. You know, you had Tom Corner getting a massive head knock and carrying on, and he was superb again. He was absolutely outstanding. Ewan Healy, not the best first half, second half, different player. Kirky ran himself into the floor last night. Absolutely fantastic. And Tiller, talk about a captain's knock. Wow,
Yeah.
What a performance.
Last night, wasn't he? If you threw a brick at the bastard, he'd have headed it.
It would. It would. He would run through brick walls, wouldn't he, that fella?
That was outstanding from Tiller last night. I know people gave Dougie man of the match, but for me it was Tiller. All game, even in the first half, he didn't give up. He was winning every header that came his way. His double tackle he did in the first half as well.
Yeah.
Man's an absolute warrior.
Yeah, he is. You know, there's so many. All of them, they all did well, especially second half. But obviously, so we go 2-0 down, and like I said, we'd all said, "Oh, Northern League teams," and they did seem to be really bang up for it, didn't they? They are different, you know, like that. People say, "Oh, they're not bothered about their league games, and they're only up for cup games." But second half, like you said, they seem to do the old Jose Mourinho. You know, they had the lead, and people say about 2-0 being a dangerous scoreline in football, and they played right into our hands, and we were a bit more direct, and we punished them, and you know, we got a penalty. Levi chipped in with another goal, another £2 in the pot. Cheers, Levi. And yeah, it was, and obviously we dealt with adversity as well. When we was 2-0 down, Nelly was sin-binned, so we had 10 minutes at the end of the first half where if we'd have conceded again, that could have been curtains. It's just fairy tale stuff. I mean, you know, there was a book written about our FA Trophy run in 2015. I think there's been enough stories so far in this FARS run to write another book, to be honest. And we just hope it continues.
Right. It's been fantastic.
It's been something that dreams are made of, to be honest. I mean, everybody wants a good cup run. I mean, that's obviously the league, as we all know, is a priority. But a good cup run would be amazing. And to be able to be having that at the minute, living the dream. And let's be fair, boys. Are we daring to dream? Last 32?
I'm daring to dream.
You've got it.
We have to. West Auckland's a tough tie, but you know, you can never ever count this team out.
No, you that this team will never know when it's beaten, and this team, until a final whistle that they have been beaten, will never be beaten. So, yeah, the character of the boys has been first class. All of them working hard for each other, playing for each other, and obviously to see the scenes at the end of the game, it's really special.
Well, the passion that they've all got is outstanding.
Absolutely. I think that's the main thing that this club prides itself on. The players are players who want to be there. Not one player that plays on that pitch or sits on the bench or is currently injured does not want to be at this football club. All of them are in for the cause, and all of them want one goal, and that's to be successful as a club. They all love each other as a group. To see that and to see how good they were last night, and obviously the calmness of nearly all the penalties, but she nearly gave me a heart attack. But yeah, fair play to him. Nice for Dougie to have his moment again.
Yeah, he was.
Say that again, Walker.
He looked well last night, Salt, during that game. He was a bit pale.
No, his nerves, mate. It means we all know it means so much to all of us, and to be in one of those situations yet again where it's a complete lottery was horrible. But I've always said, and it's probably the only motto I've had about football: penalties is the absolute best way to win, but it's the absolute worst way to lose. So fair play to see. I thought the team did well, especially first half. The people were, but yeah, they'll do well in that Northern League because they know how to attack. The number 5 at the back is James pointed out.
I was going to say, talking about how much it meant to us. Obviously, me and Jack and Ash celebrated when Dougie made the winning save. James.
On Facebook, I couldn't celebrate until the final singing got on Facebook.
Well, we all let out a bit of a roar and things, but James let out his own personal message to the number 5, who had said some not so kind things to us during the shootout when we were shouting our encouragement to Ferriby. So James gave him a bit of a parting gift after Douglas's save. Now, the video of this obviously went out on Ferriby's Twitter account, but it went out without the audio because we couldn't really put that out on an official account, but we can put it out on here. So what we're going to do, I'm going to try and do is clip this video in now with all of the audio, and you can hear James's farewell message to Seaham's number 5, which was quite funny, and you don't expect it from James, do you? He's calm and collected,
isn't he, James?
Yeah. So we'll just pause now, and you can enjoy.
Go on, Dougie! Go on, Dougie!
Yes!
Go on, piss off!
So, obviously, great result last night, and you can obviously don't judge James too much. We all get caught up in the emotion at times, but we did think that was quite funny, and he agreed that we could use that, so we thought we'd put that in. So fair play, James. We had a good night again in the press area with it himself and Chesney Senior, who is definitely not bitter about Super 6 at all.
He's not happy.
Deep down, he might be a little bit bitter.
Or but to be fair, if the season's null and void now, you've shit out, Mark, unfortunately. So you better hope that we carry on. Finally, on that, obviously we've talked about a lot of the players. Great night, everything. Penalties win. So the reward is West Auckland in the last 32 at home. Now Ash has just informed me that they're not as high up the Northern League as I thought they were, which has now made me even more confident. I can see that arch, boys. I can see it in the distance.
I will see the arch more clearly through the fog if we beat West Auckland.
If we beat West Auckland, I'm buying my suit.
I think West Auckland will be a different kettle of fish. But let's face it, boys. There's still a lot of good teams left in this competition. We haven't come across any southern teams left yet. And just think if we have to go to somewhere like Plymouth Parkway or Portsmouth or something like that, it's gonna be one hell of a long trip.
Yeah, we've done it before. We went to Farnborough.
But for now we're enjoying it. Obviously, what did you say, Walker?
Obsessed with Plymouth.
I know. I just want a trip down there. No, yeah. I mean, any team we play at this point of the competition are going to be good. They're here for a reason. West Auckland will be fantastic. They'll be a great opponent. But hopefully, like we said, anybody at the Dransfield we fancy us to beat. So yeah, I'd hopefully fancy our chances, but it's going to be one tough.
Yeah. I'll just give a quick update on forfeits because there were a few last night. Another £6 in the tin. So that was both my players got booked, which I was fuming about. So cheers Nelly and cheers Hutch. So that's £4 from me, and of course the obligatory Ash £2. You know, it has to happen. You know, every time there's a Ferriby game, Ash pays £2 minimum. Levi with another goal. The goal machine that is Levi Tarbottom. So yeah, that's another £6 in. So that's going well. Obviously, we hope to continue it, but you know, we hope about a lot of things these days. Finally, tonight Ash has got a bit of obviously no Super 6, I should say. No Super 6 this week because there was only the one-off Ferriby game in the Vase. So Ash has got a quick quiz for us to finish off with.
It should be quick, but it might not be. Right, I've got 4 players. I'll tell you who the players are. I'm going to tell you their career.
Right, okay.
And you've got to tell me the players. Okay, we'll start with number 1.
This is definitely not stolen off Talk Sport.
Right, you need to start again, Walker.
Started at Lincoln City.
Right.
Loans at Darlington, Gainsborough, Ferriby and Halifax.
So he played for Lincoln, Darlington, Gainsborough.
Barrow. He was at Lincoln City. He had loans at Darlington and Barrow, Gainsborough, Ferriby, Halifax.
I was going to say Ant Wilson, but
Danny Hearn.
It is Danny Hearn. Well done, Sam. Well done, Sam. Right, bear with me for this one. Garforth, Darlington, Southampton, Garforth, Sandnes Ulf in Norway, Garforth, on loan at Chester, Halifax, Bradford Park Avenue, Whitehawk, Farsley, Ferriby, Fylde, Bradford Park Avenue, Boston, FC United, Trafford and Ossett Town, and Emley.
Jason St. Just.
You cut out for me, Walker. I couldn't hear half the team.
You were frozen on mine. Yeah, so Jason St. Just.
All right, okay.
Did you hear that all right, Sam?
Yeah, I heard that, yeah.
Right, the next one's another long one.
Who is it?
Macclesfield, 2 loans at Southport, Barrow, Tamworth on loan, Droylsden, Stalybridge, Salford, Goole, Southport, a trial at Col, Nantwich. He then played in Wales for Gap Connors Quay, Radcliffe, Ramsbottom, Oxford City, North Ferriby, Hensford, Nantwich, Redditch, and Atherton.
Is it Vinnie McKendy?
It is Vinnie McKendy.
Wow, that's a shout, Salt.
This one is worth 2.
So it's
The
2-1
Salt's
to me at this point.
Well, no, we'll go with this is worth 1, and then I'll just have to Google a player's career in a minute. Right. Hull City, Halifax, Hinckley. Both Halifax and Hinckley was on loan. Permanent move to Halifax. Boston, York, on loan at North Ferriby, and then North Ferriby permanent. He had 2 stints with Ferriby, permanent.
Started at City.
It's not the striker that can't be named, Walker, is it?
No, he also had 1 England under-20 game appearance, apparently, according to Wikipedia.
On loan from York.
And then Lee.
Is it Matty
Right.
Dixon?
No. Right position, midfielder. Was a midfielder.
From York. On York.
Do you want a clue?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you on permanently at the club?
What?
You ever knew him permanently at the club?
We only ever knew him permanently.
Not the loan. At York, we would have been at primary school, probably.
It's not JD, is it?
No.
Paul Harsley.
No.
Gonna need a bigger clue.
He played for us last season.
Adam Boulder.
Eddie Birch.
No. The year he had off, we were in the National League. He had 1 year off while we was in the National League.
He played for us last season. Oh, Russ Fry.
Oh,
Russ He signed for the club permanently in 2008.
Ah, okay.
I didn't know he played for York, to be fair.
Well, I was surprised how quick he went from City to us, to be fair. That Halifax, Boston and York is all in like 1 year.
Right.
Yeah, I remember him on old Championship managers for City.
He came down very quickly.
So that's another win for me.
So you need to up your game.
Well, I'm pleased with my Vinnie McKendy point. I'll say that.
What a career, Vinnie McKendy. I just want to know how he went from Salford to goal.
I know.
Back to Southport. Madness.
Jason St. Just had quite the career as well, didn't he? Globetrotting.
He went to Garforth quite a lot, didn't he? He seems quite happy at Garforth.
Yeah. Yeah. That just about brings us to the end. I'll apologise for some audio issues we've had tonight, but we've had to just try and plough on. We've had a lot to talk about. I think we covered everything. Obviously, we have no idea when the next one's going to be because we tried going down the road of specials and things, and some worked and some didn't. But the likelihood is we'll be back when Ferriby are next back.
People got upset about specials.
Yeah, we can't do anymore. We don't.
Nobody in particular.
We don't want any more banning orders. So
On the word banning orders, I've got a New Year's resolution.
To get banned from as many clubs as possible.
I'm not going to say anything negative about Emily because I really appreciate the way they've been on Twitter.
Oh, yes. Well done, Ash. That's a good point, that. We've got to say fair play to Emily for your tweets about of Merry Christmas and everything. And we hope you all had a good one down at Emily. Well, we hope everyone in the league did. But, yeah, cheers, Emily. And obviously, it's all in good fun, the banter we have on here, even with Ollerton. I mean, Ollerton, they hate us, but, you know.
Well, I've got a resolution. I'm going to be kind to Emily. That's the only club I'm going to be kind to.
Well, so now everyone else is in trouble.
Only people sent me. Like Winterton, I actually don't have anything to say about Winterton, but they did something wrong.
Yeah. Well, we hope we're not off the air for too long. Yeah, thanks to you two as always for joining me. Really good debate tonight, and you know, great win for Ferriby against Seaham. So well done, lads, and everyone involved. Hopefully we get the West Auckland game at least on, and then who knows with the league, we'll just have to see. But yeah, thanks to you two as always for joining me, and we'll see you when we can. And a happy new year as well.
Happy New Year.
Let's hope 2021 is better than the crap that this has been for a year.
Better than this one. Right. Cheers. Have a good.
Cheers, lads.